What is going on, guys? UCF Jaguar back here with another video, and today we will go ahead and talk about OTAs. Usually right now we are pretty much toward the end of OTAs. The way the offseason usually goes, it's 10 voluntary OTAs followed by 3 mandatory mini camps. We all remembered last year with the voluntary OTAs, it was pretty... it made a lot of news because Telvin Smith announced a retirement, and Tom Coughlin was out here calling out Telvin Smith and Jalen Ramsey, and then Jalen Ramsey made a big scene about it being voluntary, and 1 year later, none of those guys are anywhere to be found. But now it's a virtual world, so in this video, I kind of want to discuss everything about these virtual OTAs and how I think the Jaguars are going to be negatively impacted by it. So let's get it. So obviously this whole pandemic started about in March, and I don't know about you guys, but I work in a corporate office from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and when this whole virtual world started, I really loved it because I didn't have to go into the office. I could work at home a little bit, but as March goes by and April goes by and May is about to be done, I am pretty much ready for this to be over with. It does look like there will be an NFL season going on, as I saw a tweet recently about the NFL is planning for full stadium attendances. I think that the whole thing will definitely impact the amount of people going to these games, because there's still going to be people a little bit scared to make close contact with people, especially inside of these large stadiums where they have 50, 60, 70,000 people going to these games, all in very, very close contact with each other. It's kind of the opposite of what's really being promoted today, but the NFL is planning on having different people coming to games, which is actually pretty cool. Like, I am excited to have an NFL season. I'll say that. I'll say that right now. But I think that the Jaguars will be negatively impacted by it for a few different reasons. First of all, the Jaguars are very, very young. They drafted 12 rookies in this draft, and there's also some undrafted free agents that are most likely going to make the roster. So the Jaguars, there's not really any team activity going on. It's not like they're getting on these Zoom calls and having the entire offense in on the calls. The coaches are doing things more individually with the players. I don't know if they're doing anything I'm sure there's some type of actual, maybe the wide receiving coaches are meeting with the wide receivers, maybe on one call or whatever, but they're not doing entire installs. And it's tough because these players, they're not able to go out there, put on their team's helmet, and be out there with the team and just kind of see what an NFL practice is like. They won't be able to really do that until, if all goes as planned, the end of July. So I think really with how young the roster is, I think that hurts that a lot. And you also look at it, the Jaguars are going to be installing a brand new offense. Obviously, John DeFilippo stepped down from the offensive coordinator position after the conclusion of the 2019 season. So they brought in former head coach of the Washington Redskins, Jay Gruden, and also former offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. And he is going to be the offensive coordinator of the Jaguars in 2020. And with an offensive coordinator comes an entirely new offense, and obviously this hurts Jay Gruden because he's not able to go out there and put his players on the field and really install any kind of an offense, and that hurts. That hurts if you have a brand new offense. And at least the Jaguars, for the most part, they're pretty used to kind of transitioning to new offenses. At the start of the season, we'll have a third offense coordinator in 3 years. DJ Chark, he's going into his third NFL season, and he's had a different offensive coordinator every single year of his NFL career. That is obviously not ideal at all. But, when you have the type of win-loss records that the Jaguars do at the conclusion of every season, this kind of stuff is going to happen. So, we have a new offense that's going to have to learn. And also, you look at it, Minshew, this is going to be his first offseason where he's preparing to be a starter. And obviously, this is a big year for Gardner Minshew. In 2019, it almost seemed like we were playing with house money on Gardner Minshew because we paid Nick Foles a lot of money. Nick Foles was supposed to be the guy. It wasn't this 6th-round rookie brought out on the bitch, but obviously, Minshew had a lot of success in 2019. He was a top 3 rookie quarterback. He might have arguably been the best quarterback depending on how you look at it. Really good touchdown to interception ratio. 6-6 as a starter on a pretty bad Jaguars team. So he did a lot of really good things for the Jaguars. But, this year's a whole new transition. No longer is he a 6th-round rookie quarterback. Now he is a 2nd-year NFL veteran. And it hurts Gardner Minshew right now that he's not able to not only learn Jay Gruden's new offense on the field, but also develop a chemistry with some of the new guys on the offense. There's going to be some new pieces that are going to have pretty big impact for the Jaguars. Obviously, Laviska Shenault, the receiver that the Jaguars drafted in the 2nd round of the most recent draft. You also brought in tight end Tyler Eifert through free agency, who actually used to play under Jay Gruden. He had some of his best years in Cincinnati playing under Jay Gruden. And also new scat back, 3rd-down running back Chris Thompson is in there. So, I would expect all these guys to make pretty big impacts for the Jaguars. And Gardner Minshew isn't really going to be able to develop a chemistry with them until around July. So it definitely hurts for Gardner Minshew, but it's going to be a big year for Gardner Minshew, obviously. When you look back at different quarterbacks, Tom Brady, he is no longer looked at as a 6th-round pick. He's obviously a 6-time Super Bowl winner. Russell Wilson, you don't see him as a 3rd-round pick anymore. Dak Prescott, he's no longer a 4th-round pick anymore. This is the year that Gardner Minshew shreds the 6th-round pick identity that's kind of behind him, and he proves that, look, what can he do in 2020, because what he does in 2020 is going to be largely dependent on what the Jaguars do next year, next offseason. We have 2 2nd-round picks depending on how bad we are. If you get the number 1 overall pick, obviously you're going to get Trevor Lawrence, but will the Jaguars be looking at getting another quarterback? Maybe there's some quarterbacks available in free agency. I mean, you look at maybe Aaron Rodgers is available for trade because they just drafted Jordan Love. You never know. So it's Gardner Minshew's year to really prove and solidify that he is the future of the Jaguars quarterback position. And last thing I want to check on is that the Jaguars seem to have a new defensive identity. It hasn't really been flat out said out in public that the Jaguars will be running a 3-4 defense, but it's pretty much assumed. I mean, when you look at it, a lot of times the way you build your defense around different draft picks that you have. In 2019, the Jaguars drafted Josh Allen, who going into the draft, people saw him as more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, but they ran kind of a 4-3 with some 3-4 principles. And then now when you most recently drafted K'Lavon Chaisson in the 1st round at pick number 20 overall, he is definitely more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. So the Jaguars are most likely going to be rebranding this defense, and it sucks because the Jaguars will not be able to do any install, with these guys out there. So really, I guess the gist of this whole thing is it almost seems like virtual OTAs. They help out good teams with stability, teams with coaching staffs and quarterbacks that have been around the team for a while, and it hurts teams filled with rookies, have new head coaches, new quarterbacks. It just seems like that. But at the end of the day, what do OTAs really mean? I never thought OTAs were very important, although I do think it's nice for teams to be able to get together and at least even talk each other, look each other eye to eye. I think a lot of it is more of a classroom type of thing as opposed to actual practices on the field. But the Jaguars will be missing out on it. But the big thing is, if the trade-off from this, I just want an NFL season. That's all I want. All I want is an NFL season. If we get that, I will be happy. So thank you guys for watching the video. Shout out to all the members of the channel. You guys can become members by hitting the links down below for member-only perks, member-only videos, stuff like that. And you guys can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. Thank you guys for staying patient on the channel. Obviously, it's a pretty dead period right now, so I'm kind of going out and probably releasing like a video every week, something like that to kind of keep the traffic going and keep the Jaguar fans entertained. But other than that, that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching. Go Jags.